Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation delivered by the Metropolitan of San Francisco, who we're so honored to have with us tonight, His Eminence Metropolitan Gerasimos.
As always, when you give a microphone to a politician or to a clergy, you have to expect unexpected things. Please be seated. Καλησπέρα σας, Χριστός Ανέστη. It is a privilege to be with you this evening, gathered among those who have demonstrated such a deep and abiding commitment to Hellenism and to the future of Greece through the important work of the Hellenic Initiative. What began in response to a moment of great need has matured into a thoughtful and impactful expression of leadership, philanthropy, and shared responsibility for the well-being of our people and for the preservation of our heritage. Amongst you, there are many individuals who are very important to us as Hellenes, but also to the wider society. And I want to thank all of you on behalf of the Metropolis of San Francisco for your unending support to this event. We recognize this evening Mr. Angelo Tsakopoulos, whose life reflects a rare of vision, perseverance, and fidelity combination. His accomplishments speak not only to personal success, but to a life lived with purpose, rooted in faith, guided by conviction, and marked by a profound commitment to both his heritage and the broader community. In this, he offers a compelling witness to what it means to build, to give, and to lead with integrity. I know you will hear more about Mr. Tsakopoulos later. Now, however, I don't want to take advantage of this podium. I will ask you to please rise so we can pray.
Right here. Jesus, having risen from the tomb as he foretold, has granted us eternal life and great mercy. Αναστάσης ούς από τον τάφο, καθώς προείπεν έδωκεν ημίν την αιώνιον ζωήν και το μέγα έλεος, δόξα Πατρί και Υιό και Αγίο Πνεύματι, και ανήν και αεί και στους αιώνας νέων αμήν. Κύριε λέησον, Κύριε λέησον, Κύριε λέησον, δέσποτα Άγιε ευλόγησον.
Lord our God, we give thanks to you for this blessed evening and for the opportunity to gather together in fellowship and shared purpose. In this radiant Paschal season, we rejoice in the light of your resurrection, by which you have renewed all things and granted us the promise of life everlasting. Fill our hearts with the same spirit of hope and renewal that we all undertake may be guided by faith, strengthened by unity, and directed toward what is good and enduring. Look with favor upon this gathering and upon all those who are present. Bless their efforts, their generosity, and their commitment to the advancing the work of the Hellenic Initiative, that it may continue to bear fruit for Greece and for the flourishing of Hellenism throughout the world. Remember also, Lord, your servant Angelo. Grant him continued health, strength, and many years, that he may continue to inspire others through his example for leadership and service. And as we prepare to break bread together, we ask you to bless the food and the drink of your servants, for your holy now and forever and to the ages of ages. Amen. Χριστέ ο Θεός ευλόγησον τη βρόση και την πόση των δούλων σου, ότι άγιεσαι πάντοτε νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Χριστός Ανέστη.
Αληθώς Ανέστη.
Please be seated, and please feel free to enjoy your salad. While His Eminence returns to his seat, I have to tell you all quickly something remarkable about this man that we all know and love that you may not know. I just returned from Boston, where they're on the eve of the Boston Marathon, and the Greek-American community was celebrating the 80th anniversary of the victory of Stylianos Kyriakidis, who won the Boston Marathon in 1946 to bring attention to the starving Greek people after the Nazi occupation and after the Civil War. Kyriakidis won in a record time of 2 hours and 29 minutes. 30 years later, a young Greek ran that race just minutes shy of that record time, and he didn't win the Boston Marathon, but you'd say he won the spiritual race because he was eventually elevated to Metropolitan of San Francisco. Our beloved Metropolitan was a world-class marathoner. I can see the title of the book now, From Marathoner to Metropolitan. Your Evidence, Reverend Clergy, Madam Speaker Emerita Pelosi, we're so honored to have you here. Madam Ambassador, Lieutenant Governor, soon-to-be Treasurer Kounalakis. Second Gentleman and fellow Cretan Kounalakis. Madam Consul General of Greece, Vassilipoulou. President of the Hellenic Olympic Committee, Kouvelos. What pleasure to have you here. Honorary Consul General of Cyprus, Kyprianidis. And by the way, connecting the Olympics to Kyprianidis, I had the honor in LA to receive the Olympic flame from Andreas Kyprianidis in front of the Consul General of Greece for the 2004 Olympic Games. And he hasn't aged in the 22 years since somehow. Chancellor Asanis, THI Board President Stamus, Board Member Evangelos, THI Lord Byron members, dear friends. It's wonderful to be with you all on, as I've said repeatedly, the first annual THI West Coast Dinner. This is a beginning of what we hope with many, many such gatherings with this remarkable community out here. My name is Mike Manitos. I'm the Executive Director of the Hellenic Initiative, THI. Thank you. So tonight is our third consecutive night of THI events here in Los Angeles. We started Thursday night with a vibrant THI New Leaders event. Over 100 remarkable Greek Americans, 45 and under, gathered on the rooftop of the Jonathan Club downtown, but most importantly, raised a record $20,000 for THI and the people of Greece. So congratulations to them. Thank you. And I want to thank again the organizing committee, several of whom are here tonight, who have also been the heart and soul of this New Leaders program over so many years. Leah Bazanellis, Angelo Karras, and Lee and Lillian Polydor. Thank you. Now, mentioning Lee and Lillian Polydor, for those of you in this room who are hoping that your child or your grandchild will meet and marry a Greek, THI's proof of performance is that beautiful couple, Lee and Lillian, who met at a THI event. As did George Stamos' daughter and her husband. So it can happen here. Last night, many in this room gathered for what was really a magical night under the stars for Lord Byron Circle members at the beautiful home of Pauline and Glenn Bogosian. Thank you, Pauline and Glenn, for your hospitality, your generosity, and the opportunity to share the important work and impactful work of THI. And tonight, we celebrate and honor one of our community's and our country's finest, Angelo Tsakopoulos, and in doing so, have raised for the people of Greece over $100,000. So thank you all for your part in that. Before we invite several special guests to share their thoughts about Angelo and his lifetime commitment to Hellenism, orthodoxy, and country, let me take a minute to share how each of you in this room are touching the lives of the people of Greece through THI. The mission of THI is simple. We unite Hellenes around the world around philanthropy by investing in the future of Greece. THI was born in 2012 when Greece was on its knees, struggling through its Great Depression. Some of the world's most successful and philanthropic Hellenes got together, created a fund, but most importantly, created for the first time ever a way to give to Greece in a trusted, transparent, and impactful way. And in our first 13 years, we've donated over $25 million in economic and humanitarian aid to the people of Greece. And it doesn't stop there. There was a recent study that showed that the estimated impact of the Greek GDP of THI has been almost $500 million. So we're very proud of that, but we've only just begun. So for those of you in this room who've been part of that journey, thank you again. For those of you who have not had the chance, we hope you'll consider joining us, and there'll be opportunities later in the evening to find out how to do just that. As we look to the next 10 to 20 years, THI is once again doing something that has never been done before. We're uniting the global Greek diaspora in a force for collective impact, strengthening Greece economically and socially while advancing the values of Hellenism across generations. We share with you now a short video on the first 13 years of THI and our vision for the future, narrated by our fellow Hellene, Hugh Jackman. Enjoy.
In 2010, Greece faced the deepest economic crisis in its modern history. A shock that didn't just move numbers on a screen, it moved lives. It shook families at their dinner tables, graduates holding diplomas with nowhere to go, small business owners watching dreams built over decades disappear overnight. And in that moment, something remarkable happened. People who loved Greece by birth, by heritage, or simply by heart didn't look away. They stepped forward. They joined arms across oceans. And together, they created the Hellenic Initiative. The Hellenic Initiative was born from a simple truth. When your homeland is hurting, you don't turn your back. You reach out. You say, "We're here. We believe in you." It began as an act of solidarity to help families stand tall again, to support communities in crisis, to open doors that had suddenly closed. But soon, it became something far greater. Not just a relief for what Greece had endured, but a beacon of hope in everything Greece could become. A belief in potential, in possibility, in people. And the impact has been profound. Families facing hardship found support and the comfort of knowing they were not alone. Communities scarred by fire and loss saw forests return, landscapes healed, and hope growing back stronger than before. Entrepreneurs with an idea and the courage to embark in that journey were given the tools to build businesses that create jobs, inspire others, and redefine what's possible in Greece. Thousands of young graduates ready to contribute found real opportunities at home, reversing brain drain one life at a time. Good jobs, fair wages, mentors who believed in talent, a reason to stay, and a future worth staying for. Because when Greece's brightest minds can thrive at home, the entire nation can bloom. And perhaps the most powerful change of all, THI brought the global Greek community back together by bridging distance and uniting through purpose. Lives changed, opportunities created, a country moving forward, one family, one entrepreneur, one community at a time. Greece's story is still unfolding. Young people filled with talent and ambition deserve the chance to fulfill their dreams at home. Innovators are ready for their breakthrough if someone believes in them first. And communities across Greece are still looking for partners they can trust. That's why THI matters, not only for what it has accomplished, but for enabling what is possible. Tonight, we honor years of impact, but the real story is the future we choose to build together. This is our moment, a moment to stand with Greece, not in memory, but in promise. To lift the people who give this country its relentless heartbeat, to turn hope into opportunity, and opportunity into action, and finally, into lasting change. THI was created to help Greece rise up, and today, because of you, it is rising, with strength, with pride, with purpose. Tonight we come together to celebrate the present, but also help build the future. Tonight, we will start writing the greatest chapters, the ones that are still ahead for Greece, for its people, for every generation yet to come.
Please welcome the man who started it all, THI co-founder and president, George Stamos.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I can't possibly follow His Eminence, Mike. Great job, Mike. Congratulations. Thank you for your due. Or try to follow that wonderful film. So I'm going to get personal, if I can. And you hear a lot of speeches, but when I see a film like that and I see this room filled with people like this, I have to tell you, it warms my heart more than you can possibly imagine. So I've known the Tsakopoulos and Kounalakos families for a long, long time. I have a lot of great memories of them. One memory that stands out, though, and it sort of fits this evening. When we were in our early days at THI, really just starting, or about to start, I thought, well, I got to call Angelo. I thought, well, now how am I going to do this? I've got an idea. He loves to play golf. I play golf. We played a lot of golf together. Always had a good gambling game going, had some other friends. So I found an opportune time to come out here and catch up with Angelo. He couldn't wait to get on the golf course. We bet our normal bet. And I waited till we got to the 18th hole, and we're on the 18th green, and he's got about a 10-foot putt left, and I thought, okay, this is my moment. I said, Angelo, I don't know if you've heard about this. It's something called the Hellenic Initiative that we're starting. And, you know, I really felt it was important to get to you and chat about this. I'm really hoping we can count on you for your support. He turned to me and he said, George, that's super. That's his favorite phrase. Super. That's a fantastic idea. You can count on me. He leaned over. He sunk the 10-foot putt. He won the money. I gave him a couple $100. He gave it right back to me and he said, that's your first contribution to THI. To which I immediately responded, Angelo, I'm counting on you for a lot more than that. Now that was Angelo, a legend in our community, a legend that we honor tonight. He wanted this to be a family affair, and it certainly is. Each one of you has a story about Angelo. I won't try to repeat them. They go on and on and on. This is a man who came to the United States 75 years ago with not a dime in his pocket. And through grit and courage and faith, he climbed the highest pillars of the business world, of the charitable world. But he never forgot where he came from. Never forgot the importance of charity, philanthropy, and people, and the utmost importance of family. That's Angelo. He's not here tonight. He wants to be. He's certainly here in spirit. And when I talked to him a couple weeks ago, I said, look, Angelo, it may be tough for you to make it. We'll make our next West Coast move closer to you geographically. Sacramento or San Francisco, we're coming. To which he said, super, absolutely super. Can't wait for that to happen. When we talk about the Hellenic Initiative and its impact on Greece, it really is synonymous with a personality like Angelo. Because more than anything else, you know, he taught us the power of giving. I can speak to that personally. I'm quite sure that in my somewhat formative years, I drew my inspiration from Angelo. And I think I'm quite sure that That's the kind of inspiration that, helped me be a part of this great organization. So what is THI? We're this wonderful collection of Hellenes and philhellenes. After all, Greece is in many ways not a country, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of life. But we knew that Greece was suffering dramatically, as His Eminence pointed out. And it was our time. We'd finally come into our own, like our Jewish friends, like our Irish friends. It was our time. And someone like Angelo taught us that sense of responsibility and the joy of giving. But didn't stop with him, because the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Hellenic jumped on board immediately, the THI, which was so encouraging to all of us, encouraging to me personally. And every time there's something significant with THI and I get a chance to speak with Hellenic, she turns to me and says, "George, that's super. That's super. What a super idea. Let's do it." I don't know how Hellenic does it, everything she's got going on, but that's what we're made of at THI. So, we're kind of all over the world. It kind of reminds me of the story of the Greek pioneer explorer who was searching through the deepest, darkest part of Africa 150 years ago. He's charting out the African continent. He's crawling through the jungle. And all of a sudden, he's surrounded by a native tribe. And they drag him to the village. They drag this poor little Greek up against a big pot of boiling water. And they start dancing around, and they're doing their war dancing. And the little Greek, themo, paniyimo, paniyimo, he's worried about what's going to happen. He thinks he's going to be thrown in the pot. And he's praying and he's crying, and all of a sudden, the chief of the village hears him. Chief of the village raises his hand, and the dancing stops, and the music stops. And the chief walks up to this little trembling Greek. He leans over and he says, "Signomi, Elena Sise." So we're everywhere with THI. We've penetrated Australia, Canada, the deepest, darkest parts of Europe, and finally we're getting to the West Coast. Long time coming. To see what you all did the last couple days, again, warms my heart. And so, to honor Angelo tonight, this giant, words cannot express, this inspiring man who now is passing it down in generations. And so, this afternoon, I had the great honor of interviewing Lieutenant Governor, soon-to-be Treasurer, Hellenic. And it was the first in our series at THI, which we call Ithaca, the Journey of Great Hellenes. You all probably know the poem Ithaca by the great poet Cavafy. And Eleni and I were talking about that poem this afternoon, where Cavafy describes Odysseus in his great journey through life. And he meets the monsters and the one-eyed Cyclops, et cetera, et cetera. He has all these challenges. But Cavafy warns and promises, but don't be too fast on your journey. Get everything out of it. Understand what it is to be curious. What we got from our Greek DNA. Enjoy the trip. And so when I think about Hellenic, Tsakopoulos, Kounalakos, that's what I think about. The Ithaca journey. Ladies and gentlemen, Hellenic.
my goodness. Good evening, everyone. Your Eminence. Your Eminence, Madam Speaker Emerita, on behalf of my father, Angelo, who is very well, but flying down for an event like this is a little bit much for him. Be rest assured he's having dinner with some friends in Sacramento. He's very well. But again, traveling for these kinds of events just takes a little bit too much of a toll at 89. So I am very honored to be here representing him. And I'd like first and foremost to thank the Hellenic Initiative and the members of the THI Board of Trustees, of course, our dear friend George Stamos, and our very dear friend THI Evangelist, who is also a board member. Thank you for honoring him with this Lifetime Achievement Award. I am very proud of my Cubaro, Mike Manitos, for his leadership at the Hellenic Initiative and for launching this very first California THI event. I know with all of your participation and embracing of THI, this is the first of many to come. So my husband, Marcos Kounalakis, and I have several guests who we invited to join tonight, and I'd like to just take a moment to introduce them. First, of course, my family is here. Our family from all over the state came down. We are also joined by our friend Isidoros Kouvelos, the president of the Hellenic Olympic Committee. President Kouvelos is visiting this week to prepare for the Hellenic Olympic team to train in California in the weeks leading up to the 2028 Olympic Games. He deputized my cousin, Pete Rosaikis. Pete, please stand up. As the Northern California ambassador for the team. Thank you, Isidoros, for honoring our family in this way. There is no one more persistent than Pete to make sure that the Greek Olympic team is well taken care of when they arrive in California. And again, you might hear a little bit more about how we are going to open our arms and embrace the Greek team, the original Olympians, when they come to California for the 2028 team. And truly, Isidoros, we are incredibly proud, those of us in this room who are both Greek and Californians, and so look forward to hosting the Olympic Games here in Los Angeles. This, by the way, a little statistic, is the third time Los Angeles will host the Olympic Games. 1932, 1984, and 2028, making Los Angeles one of only 3 cities in the world to host 3 times. Finally, because of course I'm also a member of the University of California Board of Regents, I would like to recognize my very dear friend, Dr. Dennis Asanis and his wife, Eleni, and congratulate them as Dennis is the new chancellor of the University of California of Santa Barbara. So, any Santa Barbara alumni in the room? There we go, right there. Please come over and introduce yourself. We have Greeks running the University of California in Santa Barbara. So, my father, Angelo Tsakopoulos' story is rare and iconic, but at the same time reflects the journey of so many Greek American and so many Greek immigrants. As you will see in a few moments in the video that Mike has arranged, Angelo left home at just 14 years old, not knowing if he would ever see his family again. He left by himself, traveled to California to live with his bachelor uncle in a small plywood garage in the Central Valley of California. He went to school, he worked as a farm worker, And eventually, he put himself through Sacramento State University, working as a waiter in the governor's mansion. As you will also see, my father went on to build a career that quite literally changed the face of his adopted hometown of Sacramento. He started out as a real estate agent, and by partnering with farmers, primarily Portuguese immigrant dairy farmers, he was able to quickly build his own investment capital, which he then used over many decades to execute a bold vision for growth across the Sacramento region. Hundreds of thousands of families now live in master-planned housing communities that AKT Development spearheaded. I remember at one point, because his vision was so influential in shaping where development would happen, police found people going through the dumpsters outside of our office, sifting through discarded papers, hoping to uncover clues about our future plans. But as busy and successful as Angelo was during those years, he was equally passionate about giving back. My father has never treated philanthropy as an obligation. It has always been for him a genuine thrill to leverage his success to improve the life of others. I had the privilege, as many of you know, my friends the Callenses certainly know, I had the privilege of serving as my father's right hand for almost 20 years. And I can tell you that for every act of generosity that was recorded and recognized, there were dozens more that were never documented. Every day, people filed into our office with a vision, a new hospital, a marathon, an Asian sports center, a tree foundation, a historic theater, an autism research center. And Angelo would give them the land and or the financial backing to help bring those ideas to fruition. His joy was in watching the success of the endeavor, and credit was never really part of the equation. So it is an incredible honor that Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi is here. And it is an even greater honor to call her and her family among our dearest friends. Over the years, my father and our family together have proudly supported thousands of candidates for public office. At the federal level, they were usually at the recommendation of Speaker Pelosi, and always with the goal of strengthening the U.S.-Greek relationship. Angelo was, and to this day still is, deeply committed to the security and stability of the Eastern Mediterranean, with Greece as the anchor. Greece is, and I know in my heart always will be, one of our country's most reliable and enduring allies in the world. So finally, I'd like to say a word about Hellenism. I've saved this for last because everything about my father, his priorities, his work, his decisions, it's all rooted in a deep philosophical grounding in the principles of Hellenism. I remember once he was nominated for an award, and we had to fill out this questionnaire. The first question was, explain your philosophy of life. He thought about it for a moment. There I was with my pencil raised, and he said, to do good things. Okay, I have a page I have to fill out. continue. And he says, for other people. Simple as that. To my friends here tonight, to members of THI, we are living in a time when there is a renewed interest in all things Greek. I am sure you have all noticed this as well. All things Greek, including Greek culture, Greek philosophy, Greek art, and Greek history. Today, we're here in California, the world's capital of digital revolution, and the pace of change is accelerating today now more than ever with the application of artificial intelligence to nearly every aspect of our lives. I do not think it is a coincidence that in this context, people are returning to first principles. What does it mean to be a human being? What is the purpose of life? How do we live a life of meaning and value? These are questions that have been asked across millennia. But as we know, it was our ancestors, the Greeks, who gave us the most enduring and compelling answers. So in the spirit of Angelo Tsakopoulos, this is a moment to embrace our heritage, and through the Hellenic Initiative, to share our heritage with the world. So on behalf of my father, my beautiful stepmother, Sophia, my sisters, Athena, Katarina, Alexa, Krissa, and our brother, Kyriako, thank you for honoring our father with this Lifetime Achievement Award and recognizing that his is a life of both achievement and virtue. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So as I was about to walk up, Mike said, when you're finished, introduce Nancy. So please be seated and allow me a few words about the extraordinary leader for our country, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You know, she is the first woman ever to serve as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Soon after, she became the first Speaker again, who was a woman to serve as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. She is, I suspect you all know by now, the architect and the masterful facilitator of the adoption of the Affordable Care Act, which delivered health care to millions and millions of Californians, and doubtless say, okay, and she's saying, that's enough, because she will probably come up here and say that she accepts that recognition on behalf of her members, as she always does, because she is a leader who believes in the work of the collective and teams to get things done, extraordinary humility. But I'd like to just, as a personal privilege, tell a story that I don't think I've ever told in her presence before. So, and I was reminded of it earlier as George and I were doing this podcast. He said, well, you know, how did it all start for you? So here's my father, very much part of a patriarchal society, certainly in the 60s and 70s when I was born and raised. But here's the thing. Angelo had one son, my very capable brother, Kyriako, and 5 daughters. So when he met Nancy for the first time, it must have been in the early 80s, but in 1984, she was chair of the California Democratic Party. And this was in the 84 election. You may remember Walter Mondale and Geraldine Ferraro were the Democratic nominee for president and vice president. And Nancy held the convention in San Francisco. Now, a lot happened. For one, that's where my father met Sophia. But it was in those early days when Angelo and Sophia and Paul and Nancy became friends, that I saw an enormous difference in the way that my father looked at me. Because he saw a woman who he respected as a devout Catholic, as a wife, as a mother of 5 children, and as a very powerful politician. And he looked at his 5 girls, and he saw something new in all of us. So, it is a great honor and pleasure to have her here tonight, and a greater honor and pleasure to introduce Speaker Emerita of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you, Eleni. First things first, let us again recognize the beautiful presentation that Eleni has made of the great Angelo Tsakopoulos. Thank you, Eleni. All of us who love you and who love Angelo just wish that he could be here to hear that, but you, I'm sure, have shared those thoughts with him again and again. It's wonderful to be here with all of you, and I thought one thing I would do is establish my creds with the Greek community. I have been to many events, and I've met some of you along the way. First, His Eminence, Eleni and Marcos and I were with him on Greek Easter at the George Marcus home. He led us in prayer there while we were eating lamb. Thank you. And again, George Stamos is from Baltimore, Maryland, where I'm from. And when I bring that up, George and I were talking earlier, and he knew my father and my brother, who were both mayors of Baltimore. But when my father was a member of Congress, before that, years ago, decades ago, he appointed the first Greek American to a service academy. And that was a big deal at the time. Probably the Naval Academy, which is right there in Maryland. Eleni and Marcos are very close friends of ours. 2 of my daughters were in their wedding. Eleni is godmother to our granddaughter, Bella, and you can just imagine how wonderful an experience that is for Bella, religious-wise and shopping-wise and the rest of that in any event. But let me just say how proud we are of Eleni. Running now for treasurer. She will be the best treasurer that California ever had. She brings to it her experience in the private sector, her experience in the public sector, her role as an ambassador in our country, and she saw early the problem that Orban would have. I visited her when she was ambassador there, the problem that the world would have with him messing up the EU the way it did. And she warned us all about that. And she was able to inform the administration about that. So we were so proud of her as an ambassador of the United States appointed by Barack Obama. Thank you, Eleni, for being such a wonderful representative for our country. Mike Anitos, do you know him? Right? You know Mike. I have said of his family in the past, they're the all-American family because of it's the arts, it's of education, it's foreign policy, love of Greece, Hellenism, all the rest of it. They're there. They're there. Make-A-Wish Foundation. You name any subject, the Manitos family is there. They've just been remarkable and an intellectual resource to us on all things Hellenic and philhellenic. But you don't know this. I knew his grandfather, the original Mike, well, I don't know original, but an earlier Mike Manitos. His grandfather was an appointee of John F. Kennedy to be part of his team in negotiating with Congress. It was a position that had to be confirmed by the Senate of the United States. And I was just out of college working in this is 1963, working in the senator's office from Maryland. When he would come in, it was like a gust of wind. You can just imagine Manitos coming in representing John F. Kennedy. But the tradition of his family, his father, Andy, he and his brother taking the lead. Do you know this? This is the most remarkable thing. This is probably the most diplomatic thing that you could say. The whole family lives in one block of each other. I don't know if I could get my children to do that. How about the whole same city, whatever that is. But in any event, I mentioned George Marcus, I mentioned Eleni, I mentioned the Manitoses and all the rest. They got together, surrounded me a number of years ago with this one idea that Prime Minister Milakakis would be addressing the Congress of the United States on the 100th anniversary of Greek democracy. That was 2021, and would not have happened without their mobilization, because I was speaker, but it takes 4 votes, the speaker, the leader in the Senate, this or that, and we made a plan, but it started with them in San Francisco. George, in San Francisco. And it was quite a remarkable occasion, I think you will all remember. And it played well in Greece, and that was a great thing. So in any event, some of us go way back, some of us are new friends, but all of it, again, around one idea about we are all Greeks, one way or another, as the poet said. And to talk about Angelo is something that is so near and dear to all of our hearts, because it's something that one can do with total sincerity, authenticity, and the rest. We know that Angelo was a builder of things, of housing and of community and the rest of that. But it wasn't just that we praise him for. He was a builder of people's confidence that they could do whatever they set out to do. And as that is, it's not that he developed housing, he developed confidence in people to do what they want to do. His generosity is well known. His priority of things Greek is historic. I don't know how many events I've been to where we've talked about giving awards to Angelo Tsakopoulos. Now this one is very special because it's the diaspora giving back. Not what the diaspora contributed to America, which would be reason enough to celebrate, but the diaspora giving back with the Hellenic Initiative. And that's a beautiful thing to behold, and that film said it so well, and George talked about it as well as Mike Manitas, the second. What would you be, like the second? Were you born? No, you weren't even born then. I knew him before you were born, okay? In any event, this is just quite a noble initiative. And I said to George earlier, it's not just how much you have raised and the awareness that you have created. It's that people, when they're making economic decisions, want to see what else is going on. And so you've given confidence to other investors in Greece as well. So for all of us who love Greece, thank you, George. Thank you, Mike. Thank you all for the Hellenic Initiative. When I first heard the term Hellenic Initiative, I thought they were talking about democracy. But that too, of course, that all started there. As Eleni indicated, the Olympics started there. But back to Angelo. I know he probably thinks that we're saying all these great things about him, and he would be right. But this is a remarkable, beautiful person who not only had just the confidence to come on his own and to work hard to do that. Angelo Tsakopoulos is the personification of the American dream. Nobody did it better and enabled other people to do it as well. This is a very beautiful generosity of spirit, not just of resources, but generosity of spirit to encourage others. So when we talk about the American dream, it's not just about what he did for himself, for his family and the rest, but as a model to give confidence to others that if he could do that, imagine that story, a teenager going to, Lodi, California, where he started, and then to turn it into something so remarkable. So we've been to the night we had the prime minister, I don't know if he was prime minister yet, Milakakis, when you had the Stanford chair in honor of his father. Okay, and then we had the event in Washington, D.C., where the Greeks came from. What's the name of that title? There you go. That award. I don't dare do an injustice to it. But this was a big deal. All these Greeks coming to salute Angelo. It was at Georgetown University. And again, how many times have we come together, including tonight, with just a different twist, recognizing his contribution intellectually, ideals-wise, and financially. So let us all be so proud that we were present when Angelo got this. Was it Lifetime Achievement Award? Is that what it's called? Is that the Hellenic Initiative Lifetime Achievement Award to Angelo Tsakopoulos? Okay? Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Emerita. You truly are a gift to our community, to our country. And in classic Speaker Emerita form, she mentioned some things, but not really the depth. So when Prime Minister Mitsotakis addressed a joint meeting of Congress, it was the first time in history that a Prime Minister of Greece gave a joint address to the U.S. Congress, and it was coming out of COVID, so there hadn't been one for years. So, of course, all the major countries that were close to the United States will expect, well, I'll be first. And Speaker Emerita Pelosi said, no, Greece will be number one. So we will be eternally thank you for that. I should also take a second to expound upon the wonderful relationship our family has had with the Speaker Emerita. When she first started in the U.S. Congress in 1987 and the earthquakes came, the city of San Francisco was represented in Washington by Manitos of Manitos because there was a Greek mayor, Art Agnos. And so my dad loves to tell the story that he knew back then at that moment when he first met then freshman member of Congress Nancy Pelosi that she someday would be the first female Speaker of the House. And then, of course, my brother had the honor and pleasure of working his way from the intern who answered the phone at the front desk of the minority leader to for 10 years in her office and learned so many lessons that he applies to this day. So thank you for everything. So let me then introduce a wonderful video about the beautiful life of Angelo Tsakopoulos that we've put together that'll give you some more detail and beautiful pictures of the life that's been described to you so far. Please enjoy.
Angelo K. Tsakopoulos' journey epitomizes the American dream. Born into a farming family in Greece, he faced the hardships of the Great Depression and World War II. His early life under Nazi occupation and during the Greek Civil War was marked by the struggle for daily survival. Yearning for a better future, Angelo persuaded his parents to let him move to the United States. Arriving in America with nearly nothing, Angelo moved in with an uncle in Chicago, worked in shoe shining and snow shoveling, then navigated through high school and a year at the University of Illinois. His quest led him to California, whose warmth mirrored his native Greece. He first worked on farms while studying at Sacramento State College. Later, he learned about the local real estate industry and discovered a natural instinct for the business, stepping closer to his American dream. In 1963, he founded his own real estate company, eventually becoming Sacramento's most influential figure since its founding in 1843 by John Sutter. His real estate ventures were informed by careful studies of urban growth, the importance of strategic land investment, and a business philosophy inspired by
It's the Greek ideal to get involved in public life.
Angelo realized the essence of America's strength lies in promoting home ownership, seeing it as a pathway for citizens to achieve the American dream and invest in the nation's future. His early triumphs in real estate not only established a family legacy, but also drew his brothers, George and John, to California, where they pursued separate but occasionally collaborative ventures. Angelo's legacy extends through his children's accomplishments. His daughter, Eleni Kounalakis, after working with him and leading their company, was appointed U.S. ambassador to Hungary by President Obama and now serves as California's lieutenant governor. His son, Kyriakos, alongside his leadership role at AKT Investments, contributes significantly to civic and policy affairs nationally and internationally, sharing with his sister the honor of receiving the AHI Hellenic Heritage Award and serving as a long-standing trustee of the AHI Foundation. Over the course of 6 decades, Angelo's contributions have reshaped Northern and Central California communities with over 40,000 homes and 30 million square feet of office space, alongside ventures in agriculture such as vineyards and walnut orchards. Known simply as Angelo in Sacramento, his influence spans real estate, philanthropy, and education, rooted in classical Hellenic principles. His notable philanthropic efforts include founding the S.B. Vryonis Center in 1991. His significant contributions include the 78,000-volume Tsakopoulos Hellenic collection and donations leading to the construction of many Greek Orthodox churches, hospitals, and educational institutions. Angelo's support for local artist Gregory Kondos led to his works being featured at Sacramento International Airport. Angelo's legacy project, the Epithropos Center, merges technology and medical breakthroughs to build innovative senior housing, reflecting his continuous impact on society and culture. Angelo and the Tsakopoulos family have emerged as champions of Greek educational philanthropy, endowing chairs in Hellenic studies at many prestigious universities. Additionally, Angelo's influence extends into the political realm, where he's been an advisor and friend to key political figures in the U.S. and Greece, further highlighting his role in fostering Hellenic ideals and civic leadership on a national scale. Angelo demonstrated his diplomatic influence hosting President Clinton in 1994 at his home.
I was grateful to have played a role in helping de-escalate the situation, and Angelo's perspective on the underlying tensions was very insightful.
And advising his administration on resolving a series of crises in southern Europe over Turkey's claims on Emia and other Greek Aegean islands, the Macedonia name issue, and Turkish threats to the defense of Cyprus.
Των εξωτερικών και εκείνος ιδρυτής του think tank Western Policy Center, ένα κέρια σημασίας όχημα για την Ελλάδα και για την εξωτερική μας πολιτική.
Σε ευγνωμονούμε για τη δράση, το ήθος και την παρουσία σου. Είσαι ένας σπουδαίος Έλληνας και η οικογένειά σου έχει κάθε λόγο να είναι πολύ υπερήφανη για σένα.
In 2004, Angelo merged the Western Policy Center with the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars, launching the Southeast Europe Project to advance research and policy discourse on the geopolitics of Greece, Cyprus, and Turkey. It featured the Tsakopoulos Kounalakis Lecture Series to engage world leaders and scholars in discussions on democracy and classical Hellenism's principles. Angelo's dedication to Hellenism and service to Greece and Cyprus has been recognized with high honors, including the Commander of the Order of Honor by the Greek President in 2007, and the Commander of the Order of the Phoenix by the Greek Prime Minister in 2022. In 2023, he received Kathimerenis inaugural Ietis Leadership Award for his lifetime contributions to Hellenism. Beyond these accolades, Angelo values his family the most, finding great pride and joy in his wife Sophia, children Katina, Athena, Eleni, Kyriakos, Krissa, and Alexa, and their 11 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. With profound gratitude and esteem for his outstanding business achievements, dedicated philanthropy, lifetime dedication, and fervent advocacy of Hellenism, education, and Orthodox Christianity, we present Angelo K. Tsakopoulos with the Hellenic Initiative Lifetime Achievement Award.
Now, as Eleni mentioned, unfortunately, at the last minute, Angelo was unable to be with us, but he was kind enough to send an acceptance video. And after the video, if we could call up Eleni, Speaker Emerita, the Metropolitan, of course, George, to present the award to Eleni. But here's the message from Angelo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this honor, leaving the war-torn country of Greece in the 50s and coming to America is like leaving Hades and going to paradise. America is truly paradise on earth. I thank the Hellenic Initiative for presenting me with this honor. Many of you are my dear friends. And specifically, I want to thank George Stamos and the Manitos family, and we thank them for everything that they have given to Hellenism. And of course, Paul and Nancy Pelosi for attending the event. Nancy and Paul Pelosi, of course, may believe that they are of Italian heritage, and they probably are, but there's some Greek in there for sure. The Hellenic Initiative offers so much hope to people, the Hellenes that live in Greece, and giving them the encouragement to keep on striving for a better world, a better Greece. It's very much appreciated for everything you do. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Lieutenant Governor of California to receive the 2026 THI Lifetime Achievement Award for Angelo K. Tsakopoulos.
This is a little piece of stone, not worth that much, but it's worth $1 million to us at THI. Everybody in this room who celebrates Hellenism and the works of Angelo. So on behalf of all of us, my fellow directors, THI, everyone at THI, God bless the Tsakopoulos family. She says she said enough. For a politician, that's amazing. Enjoy the evening, everyone. Thank you.